whisper you belong to me wherever you may go, to Rome or San Francisco, Hawaii or Paris, the Danube or the Rhine. Oh, please remember me when you're across the sea, and let me know wherever you may go.
In the cold North Sea, the sun burns too far away for Scandinavian hearts yearning for warmer climes. But a mackerel sky means good weather ahead and a voyage under sail into the blue seas of the Mediterranean. To 20 young sailor cadets who have worked all year and won a seaman's holiday. They wait aboard the Viking, a training ship of the Swedish merchant marine that's been home to them and a hard taskmaster. 20 teenagers, Nords, Swedes, Danes, and Germans, they have a dream in common. For on graduation day, they were chosen for Operation Big M, to sail the 3-masted schooner they haven't yet seen from Göteborg Harbor into the Mediterranean.
Ahoy! The Flying Clipper is here!
Yes, that's the ship, the Flying Clipper, and she's a brigantine, American design, English built, and bound for the Golden Horn. She's underway at last. The captain calls all hands. The boys jump to it with a will. Captain Skoglund wants to leave the harbor under full sail. These young men are kings of the sea, Vikings, and they're proud of that fact today.
Hey, the shot pull up first. Now, get ready.
Outward bound, every pulse echoes the spirit of 1,000 chanties sailors have sung at the start of a voyage.
Oh, the anchor is weighed and the sails they are set.
Way you Rio,
The girls that we're leaving we'll never forget.
for we're bound to the Rio Grande, and away you Rio, way you Rio,
The girls that we're leaving we'll never forget.
for we're bound to the Rio Grande,
So goodbye, fair ladies, we know in this town.
way you Rio,
We've left you enough to buy a silk
for
gown.
we're bound to the Rio Grande, and away you Rio, way you Rio,
We've left you enough to buy a silk
for
gown.
we're bound to the Rio Grande,
We've a ship that is stout and a jolly good crew.
way you Rio,
A brass-knuckled mate and a rough skipper too.
for we're bound to the Rio Grande, and away you Rio, way you Rio,
A brass-knuckled mate and a rough skipper
for
too.
we're bound to the Rio Grande,
Sing goodbye to Elsie and goodbye to Sue.
way you Rio,
And you who are listening, goodbye to you.
for we're bound to the Rio Grande, and away you Rio, way you Rio,
And you who are listening, goodbye to you.
for we're bound to the Rio Grande.
Away in the wake of the great adventurers who explored these seas before them, the famed ones, Magellan and Columbus, and the unnamed ones like Newt and Trigg, off their watch at 4 bells, 10 o'clock to landlubbers, and below for a well-earned cup of Java, flavored with salt air. The ship is run with a firm hand. It's 4 hours on watch and 4 hours off. And have some shut-eye while you can. Captain Skoglund is descended from a line of men who have always followed the sea, as will his children. He reads his way across the seas by latitudes and longitudes and the stars in the sky. The captain charts a course that will take them down the Skagerrak, through the North Sea, into the English Channel, and the Bay of Biscay, around Cape Finisterre, heading south for Nazaré on the coast of Portugal, where he'll take on fresh water. A favoring wind fills the 14,000 square feet of canvas above deck of the Flying Clipper. At Nazaré, the crew expects to find the familiar Portuguese fishermen. But Nazaré has a surprise for them. The menfolk wear brightly colored plaid shirts, like the skirts of their women. The black-shawled women wear gold crescent moon earrings. Nazaré, where the fishermen's wives haul the heavy nets in, where fishermen wrest a living from the sea with bare hands and the courage of necessity. In Nazaré, the people are always on the beach, and everyone in the family lends a hand, and bright eyes watch for sardine shoals. Eyes as bright as the gaily painted boats with their high curved Phoenician prows. Yes, the people of Nazaré are the early Phoenicians. They labor endlessly to live from the harvest of the sea. But they enjoy the challenge, for they are the descendants of the greatest seafaring people of the ancient world. The friend of the fisherman watches over the harbor of Lisbon. He watches over the Fernando II A Gloria. The 18th century man of war lay unwanted many years in the harbor. But now, she's an orphanage for the sons of sailors and fishermen lost at sea. They learn of their forebears, Vasco da Gama, who discovered the sea route to East India, and Magellan, the first man to sail around the world. So they welcome the sons of Eric the Red as fellow sailors and pipe them aboard with a rum-tum-tum. Tagus River flows into the sea at Lisbon. This is the gateway to the Portuguese Riviera. The Carthaginians discovered it, the Greeks discovered it, the Romans discovered it, and now we have discovered it. Some come in search of sun, some in search of the sparkling Portuguese wine, and one in search of the flying clipper.
KLM announces the departure of the flight KL874 Dakar, Recife, Rio de Janeiro.
The flying clipper rounds the heel of Italy. The Mediterranean is a jewel of many facets, and the captain wants the boys to see it in its best light. In the Gulf of Kotor, the crack Yugoslav ship, Jadran, is in her home waters. Marco Polo came from a nearby island. He led 10 ships here against the Genoese fleet. He was beaten, taken prisoner, endured captivity. The day he was freed, he began his travels into China and brought back home his famous gift, a barrel of gunpowder. The Yugoslavs always welcome a friendly traveler. In the words of the poet-philosopher, Peter Petrovich Niegos, he is my brother of whatever creed he may be.
Paradni nastup na lijevoj strani broda. Razumijem. Paradni nastup na levoj strani broda. Krenite vodu paradnu poziciju na levu stranu. Hey! Oh, hey!
Yugoslavia has 2 alphabets, 3 religions, 4 languages, 5 nations, 6 republics, and a partisan in every cross tree. Yugoslavia has two voices. One is of the sea, one is of the mountains, each a mighty voice. For the Kotor motor scooter girls, it's a field day. They have a putnik each, as a traveler is called hereabouts. And the putniks are happy to have something to hang on to up to the winding hairpin roads to Mount Lufkin. When the put or road is washed away, nobody minds. It always is in Yugoslavia. These are the mountains of the Guzlari, the wandering minstrels who sang of blood and courage, of the hunters and woodsmen who came from the forest of Eastern Europe and called these cypress woods Dubrava. They sing of the enemies they have fought and of the trees. Any place in Yugoslavia, to cut down a tree is to take a man's life, for the tree is the partisan's friend. The hairpin bends of Mount Lufkin are easier to negotiate than the feelings in a sailor's heart. Sailors the world over remember and say of the Yugoslav girls, "My true love, she was beautiful. My true love, she was gay. So I'm taking a trip on a clipper ship 10,000 miles away." So the boys embark with a new word meaning both hello and goodbye. Zdravo. And Zdravo Dubrovnik. Ragusa of old, whose white gold and russet tiles, Renaissance and Romanesque architecture, peasants, partisans, and poets have made it the Slav Athens. Yugoslavs enjoy being fast on their feet, and the fastest footwork is in their national dance, the Kolo. In the spring courting dance, a marriage-shy bachelor gets a little heady when his sweetheart entices him into saying, yes, yes, yes. His fastest footwork is yet to come.
Hold 135.
Captain, call for you.
Huh?
No.
The teenage odyssey of the Flying Clipper has excited the curiosity of the picture magazines of Europe.
This is Hans Hoopman. Can I speak to your captain, please? Over.
Hello, Mr. Hoopman. Go ahead.
Hello, Captain. Hello, Captain. Can you give me a chance to meet you on board to take a few pictures? Over.
I think so, yes. We are supposed to arrive in Corfu in about 4 hours. Can you make it? Corfu in about 4 hours.
Oh, yes. Thanks, Captain. I'll meet you in Corfu. So long.
Hello, Captain.
The captain welcomes the journalist aboard, and Mr. Hoopman's presence arouses a pretty good forecastle rumor.
This is Mr. Hoopman from the German press.
A reconnaissance party is elected to straighten out the hearsay.
What's going on?
Yes, I think so. We can. We go directly to Port Said, and if you make plans, we can meet there.
You know the stories about school ships. They're great. People are very interested to see those things. So I thought we'd do this story.
Oh, very fine. I'm glad I can help you.
Hoopman plans to write the story of 3 young sailors at liberty in timeless Egypt. A friendly rough and tumble will decide which 3.
Okay, step out, boys, and take your chance. Hey!
Don't bow down. It's hot in water.
Don't forget to dance, mister.
Oh, yeah. Go on.
A pillow fight on a grease pole is an old Scandinavian custom, like walking the plank, or spitting on a dry chip and tossing it heads or tails, wet or dry. In this case, it's dry, you win a cruise up the River Nile. Wet, you win a swim in the Adriatic.
Färdiga. 1, 2, 3.
The Windjammer kids come from good homes. If their parents could see them now. Yugoslavia falls behind in the wake of the Flying Clipper. once you've passed Crete. It's 6 sailing days to Port Said. In Port Said, the most popular ship-jumping port in the eastern Mediterranean, the 3 winners go ashore to start their adventure up the River Nile, and the skipper gives everyone else shore leave.
I thought I heard the first mate say, "Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Just one more drag and then belay. It's time for us to leave her." The work was hard and the voyage long. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. The seas were high and the gales were strong. It's time for us to leave her. The sails are furled, our work is done. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. And now on shore we'll have some fun. It's time for us to leave her. It's time for us to leave her. It's time for us to leave her.
The Flying Clipper is the guest of the Egyptian government in the Suez Canal, the 100 miles of waterway connecting the Mediterranean to the Red Sea.
Oh, friend, what do you say to that?
Why, I've seen Dan before.
The Egyptian answer to the Texas Rangers.
Great, huh? Uh-huh.
A brigantine in a sea of sand, sailing on a ribbon of water 35 feet deep. The River Nile, a brown and green snake, where fellers are called fellahin. The Nile brings out a poet's smile because it rhymes with crocodile. But me, well, I've seen too much mileage to make a limerick in Nileage.
Schau. Ah ja. Das muss ja älter als 2000 Jahre sein.
Cleopatra lazed along these banks on a golden barge with Mark Antony, and her beauty was such that he gave her a little real estate. Jericho, Greece, Cyprus, Phoenicia, and parts of Sicily and Crete.
Hello!
The only water in rainless Egypt, the Nile, is sacred to farmers because it overflows into their fields, filling them with rich, fertile silt. Who tied you to the wheel, Brother Ox? Who put the yoke on your neck? I'll find out in time, the ox replies, plodding on. Where stood ancient Thebes, now stand the ruined temple of Luxor and Karnak, where kings vainly sought immortality by carving their exploits in stone. They might as well have carved their initials into a tree, for here are their prayers and their triumphs, written in a language only a few can understand, although it was meant for the many. Yet, when we walk the avenue of the Sphinxes, we can understand something of the great civilizations which flourished here and disappeared on the grinding wheel of time. The priests of the temples once held the Egyptians in bondage to the Nile, telling them that the gods gave to them the shamans, the times of the river's floods, of new moons and full moons, of times to plant seed. Out of the sham rituals and the people's simplicity came the first calendar. Only sunset each day would release river folk from the tyranny of the day, and the river birds to hunt without fear of the brown hawk. The Nile bird walks in leaps and bounds because it lives on coffee grounds, which is as true of you and me as of the Nile bird, you'll agree. The coffee makes Egyptians smile. It's twice as muddy as the Nile.
Sure, aber Kaffee ist Kaffee.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thanks.
Not bad.
The villa of the Begum Aga Khan is on the riverbank. The Aga Khan, leader of the Ismailite Muslims of India, is buried on the hill overlooking the Nile. It is here that many generations ago his ancestors began that branch of the Islamic faith of which he became the spiritual head.
How do you do?
How do you do?
How do you do?
How do you do? How do you do? Where do you come from?
We are coming from the Flying Clipper.
Oh, that's a very fine
You know
boat.
it?
Yes, it is very fine indeed.
The boys were greeted by the Begum and found her to be a gracious French lady whose way of life had taken her as far away from the green trees of Paris as their travels had taken them from their homeland.
And I wish you a very good trip.
Thank you, madam.
Goodbye.
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 Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
This man and his children will inherit a new Egypt. He is awakened every day to live in the giant shadows of the god kings. He will awaken tomorrow to a shimmering lake, the high Aswan Dam, whose waters will free Egyptians of the past, the best and the worst of it, and of the awe and majesty of the 3,000-year-old temples of Abu Simbel. Vile infidel, no, you have trod on the toe of Ramses II. The archaeologists of the New Egypt will have to be skin divers to see these kings in their thrones. But if a cat can look at a king, my friends, so can a catfish.
How much one trip?
At sea, sailors amuse themselves. Ashore, they amuse everyone else.
Let's go. Go on.
What gun?
Go on.
يلا بينا يلا بينا يلا بينا
Come on, old boy. Go on, straight. Go on, I said. Old boy, go on.
They say a sailor never walks if he can ride, but this sailor will have to. His donkey engine just won't get up any steam. In the Valley of the Kings, the treasures of Tutankhamun lay undiscovered until the 20th century. Tutankhamun became king at the age of 9 and reigned on the throne of Egypt until he was 16 years old. They say you can't take it with you, but King Tut proved you can stay with it. Young King Tut stays now in the Museum of Antiquities in Cairo. And Cleopatra's golden chair mutely asks, what happened to my beautiful owner? The newcomer is only on top of things in Cairo so long as he is airborne. For the instant he sets foot in the marketplace, he is one of 3.5 million people, all gifted hagglers except him. Sailor, when a souvenir merchant smiles at your offer and says, Bukra fil mishmish, he means when the apple blossoms bloom, and there are no apple blossoms in Cairo. Over the clamor and rush of Muslim Cairo, the cry of the muezzin falls like the drawn-out notes of a horn from the minarets, calling the faithful to their prayer mats to turn their heads toward Mecca, the birthplace of Muhammad. The pyramids of Giza ask a question, give no answer, stand on the earth, point at the heavens. Perhaps that is the answer. Ask Giza's leading lady. The main attraction of the desert is being upstaged by a little belly dancer. Poor Sphinx, the only woman who can never say what she thinks. Straw-hatted ladies on camels make up for her stony silence. Fair game for the barbs of Oscar Wilde. Women tourists are sphinxes without secrets. King Chops enslaved thousands of this fellahin's ancestors to build his pyramid, the biggest tombstone of them all. Now, fellahin makes a good living from the pyramid, betting tourists he can climb to the top in 5 minutes. Kings may come and kings may go, but fellahin go on forever. For the new members of the Pyramidmanship Club, here is an ode that may sit well. King Chop's monumental ego gives all but a sailor vertigo, for he got his balance up on the top gallants, as men do who down to the sea go. It's farewell to the land of sun gods and pharaohs when the flying clipper starts toward the more familiar lands of the New Testament.
Ready to take over? Yes. Course 5-3. Okay.
Go new course 5-1.
Now, tell me exactly how high are the Lebanon mountains? Nilsson. Salberg.
10,500 feet, or a little more maybe.
No.
A map is a magic carpet to the seafaring teenager that takes him to places that are only names to him. He charts his way northeast of Haifa to the Mediterranean waters of Beirut, the capital of Lebanon. In Beirut, he will find the jangle of nightclubs and the gossip of Lebanese coffee houses, wealthy villas, mud huts, Muslims and Christians whose names ring of the past, of Babylon, of Damascus, of Syria, and of Nazareth. He will find the few hundred trees remaining of the giant cedars of Lebanon, which Hiram of Tyre gave to Solomon, that he might fashion of them the temple of Jerusalem, and of which Zechariah spake a true prophecy. Howl, fir tree, for the cedar is fallen, because the mighty are spoiled. In the land of an eye for an eye, Hiram of Tyre didn't plant a tree for a tree. And King Solomon had 700 wives, so he just didn't have the time. The pagan splendor of Baalbek is in the massive Egyptian granite blocks, which took 3 years to carry here from the Nile. These magnificent columns could tell of the unspeakable blood rituals to the Baal of Syria, of the Helios of Greece, and of the Heliopolis, of the temples of Jupiter, and of Bacchus. They could tell of the biggest temple town in the world, and of the Christians who made it right with heaven, and of the Mohammedans who made it right with Allah, and of time who made it right with the stones themselves. They, having weathered the many ages of man, could now speak freely of his wisdom and his folly to a passing sailor. The Damascus road climbs up out of the blazing heat of Baalbek, 6,000 feet into the mountain snows. Men cool their wine in the snow. Little boys cool lemonade. and sailors cool their landing gear.
Come here.
One day, this lad may leave his handprint in the wet cement at Grauman's Chinese Theater in Hollywood. Meantime, he's about to make a Sitzmark, which is accomplished by throwing both skis up in the air and landing flat on your zits in the snow. You get the greatest toboggan ride in these mountains on the Damascus bus.
The weather report from Rhodos Radio, sir. It's not so good. I'm afraid we're heading for a storm.
Well, let me see.
The Mediterranean southwest of Turkey is a fascinating place. One day it's as calm and sunny as a Turk dreaming into his bubble pipe. Another day it rages like a whirling dervish. In these waters, Aeolus gave the great Odysseus a fair wind, and he gave him all the foul winds tied up in a bag. Odysseus, however, had a landlubber aboard, and naturally he wanted to see what was in the bag, and he untied the strings and he loosed the four winds. Flying Clipper rode out the storm off the coast of Turkey. in the lee of Antalya, the port from which the Apostle Paul and Barnabas sailed for Antioch. At nearby Side, a great Turkish actor read the Greek grammatus Aeschylus, who knew as accurately as if he were here with us that this Roman theater would be empty one day. Alas for mortals, what's their power and pride? A little shadow sweeps it from the earth. And if they suffer, why the fatal hour comes o'er the record like a moistened sponge and blots it out. Well, it is pitiful. On the beach of Alanya, menfolk gather for the favorite pastime of Turkey. The flying clipper swings peacefully at anchor. Ashore, the women sit in the shade, eating cold chops and French ices. And the boys head for the fight arena on the beach. Would you like to see a little Turkish delight? A genuine camel fight? A Donnybrook, a shoot the cook, a regular free-for-all and all for free? This way, ladies and gentlemen, to the main event. The rules are break clean in the clinches, lest they break their valuable necks. And yours too, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, little darling, come on.
Oh. Hey, what about you, little...
A high chair for the little people. Thank you, Sinbad. Brother and sister, regular fight fans. On my left, Abdul of Alanya. On my right, the waltzing Wazir who has an appointment today with Arthur Murray. Abdul leads beautifully with his chin. He applies a hooflock to the waltzing Wazir, a forearm, pardon me, a four-leg jolt from the terrible Turk, and he's down. The crowd just loves all that waltzing and necking. Keep well back, please. The fighting camel is a highly pugnacious animal. If you think all camels are filter-tipped, ladies and gentlemen, come and see the camel fight. Catch as catch can. Camels, folks, catch 'em if you can. Yesterday's champ and still champ, Gentleman Jim of Alanya. The Goremi is the most inhospitable land in Turkey, a lunar landscape in the Anatolian tablelands, which stretch eastward 1,000 miles to Mount Ararat. This wasteland of volcanic cones, barren of wildlife, barren of vegetation, became the refuge of the persecuted Christians, when to be a Christian was an act of courage and faith. Each step into the Goremi is a tale of beliefs that moved man to live in a stony wilderness where even a goat cannot find a blade of grass, to hollow out cave homes and chapels until one by one the unreal spires of the stony valley became the steeples of a city. It is the tale of a way of life that could inspire men to set their hands to record for their children the tale of a man who, before them, had gone into the wilderness. The beautiful Byzantine mosaics tell of the carpenter of Nazareth, of the family of Joseph and Mary, of the flight into Egypt, and of he who came barefooted, yet his way was strewn with palms. The marriage feast of Canaan, where Jesus turned water into wine, and the miracle of the loaves and fishes.
Nice guys. Hey, boat.
It's right through to Russia.
The flying clipper entered the Dardanelles. Ahead, the Bosphorus and the Golden Horn of Istanbul. Under the friendly eye of the Turkish Navy, she sailed the seas and narrows where the Trojan War was fought. The Bosphorus, leading to Istanbul, is alive with the spirits of the men who came to make it theirs. Of Richard the Lion-Hearted, who met the ghost of St. George, the one who slew the dragon, and he made the rallying cry of the crusade, St. George. Ever since, the waters which divide Asia from Europe have been known as the Arm of St. George. Istanbul stands astride the Bosphorus, the Sea of Marmara, and the Golden Horn, one foot in Europe, the other in Asia. The tremendous drama of this once most important city in the world speaks through the domes of the Santa Sofia and its six-minareted rival, the Blue Mosque. Said the Emperor Justinian, I created the masterpiece of Byzantine architecture, Santa Sofia, to be the greatest house of God made by the hand of man. I have surpassed thee, O Solomon. Said the Sultan, Ahmed, until I built the Blue Mosque, we had made a mosque of I, Sophia. The men who captured Constantinople were soldiers. Take Mohammed the Conqueror. He built forts like Rumeli Czar. The Galata Bridge spans the Golden Horn, connecting mercantile Istanbul with the old city of the Sultans and the Dolmabahce Palace, where the Janissary Band plays. The 16th century Janissaries were the elite fighters of the Ottoman Empire who carried the flag of the Prophet right up to the gates of Vienna. A traveling jazz band called Mississippi Sam once played horn with the Janissary Band. One day he played All the Girls Go Crazy About the Way I Walk, after which the band made other arrangements for him. The Janissaries are great knife throwers and great mustache growers.
What a nice program. I told you before.
Colorful costumes.
Now it's too late.
What interests the teenage crew of the Flying Clipper more than the romance of the past of Istanbul is the romance of the present. And the Janissaries are as used to playing with the sailor audience as without one.
Hey, boys, stop it. Come here, in here. I say, let's go. Better luck next time. Let the girls go. We've better to do. Come in. Let's go.
In the beautiful grounds of Santa Sofia, once a church, then a mosque, now a museum, one can feel the old way of the sultans, the fez, the veil, the caliphate, the harem, the cult of the whirling dervish. In every street in Istanbul, one can feel the old way of life, standing next to the westernized Turkey of Kemal Atatürk. It's a tug of war between East and West in this land, which stands with its back to Mount Ararat, its shoulders to the Black Sea, and its face to Europe. boys say goodbye to the hills of the Golden Horn. In the sunset, the minarets of Istanbul are as brilliantly sculptured as the curving crescent moon on the flag of Turkey. First day out of Istanbul, the captain makes an entry in his log. All's well. Two days out of Istanbul, one of the boys has an appendix attack. He doesn't have to face the first mate's penknife, as in the old sailing days before the miracle of wireless. But the real miracle today is that Captain Scoglin's emergency signal can find a ship to help him immediately in 1,000,000 square miles of the world's largest sea.
Hello, all ships and all stations. Hello, all ships and all stations. Flying Clipper, Flying Clipper, Flying Clipper calling all ships and all stations. The Swedish sailing vessel Flying Clipper calling. Over.
Flying Clipper, USS Shangri-La answering. What is your emergency? Over.
Oh, hello, Shangri-La. I have a sick boy on board. Give me medical advice, please. Let me speak to a doctor. Over.
Dr. Brown, sir, please.
This is Dr. Brown on the Shangri-La.
This is Flying Clipper. Can you help me? I have a sick boy on board who needs some help.
At the toes, it's the appendix.
Yes? Well, where does it hurt?
All over the belly.
On the right side, mainly?
Yes, sir, that's right.
How long has he been sick?
For about 1.5 days, he says.
I see. And does he have a fever?
Yes, today it was 104 degrees.
Eh? How high?
104 degrees.
Oh, I see. That sounds fairly serious. I think we'd better arrange to bring him over here. I'll have the helicopter go over and pick him up as quick as possible. Okay? Yes?
My position is 3345. East 2816. Over.
Right. Here, take the position.
Come on, boys. Come on. Hurry up.
Surra la segel.
Strike all sails. Make fast. Come on, boys. Make it quicker. Here's Hallberg. Don't forget to use your hands. Hurry up. Hurry up, I say.
Hold it. Now stay on course. Be careful, boys. Slow it down. Slow it down.
Okay. Ready to go.
More outside.
Okay. Here we go. So long. So long. So long.
Vera Babu.
You think you can do it?
Sure. Oh, boy.
Always ready to lend a hand, the U.S. Navy has been in the Mediterranean for over 150 years, since the days of the wars against the Barbary pirates.
Door to the right.
Here?
Yes.
Ow. Okay, prepare everything. Get him on the table right now.
The Flying Clipper is readying to cruise the Greek islands. She's waiting news of Udo. And word comes from the Shangri-La.
Hey, boys! Hey, a cable from the Shangri-La.
Oh, let me see. Come to me.
Wait a moment.
Want to read
Your
it.
boy's out of
Let me
danger.
see. Oh, let me
Appendix
see.
operated.
Let me read it. Go.
Let me see it. Come on. I have to bring it to the captain.
Let me see it. I want to read it.
Thanks, God.
The island stepping stones by which Greece conquered the Aegean become one by one an anchorage for the Flying Clipper. Little Mykonos, island in the sun, has over 200 churches. That makes one church to every 2 families. For the men of Mykonos were once pirates, and the graybeards will tell us every time their fathers brought back a big haul, they raised another church to make it all right with heaven.
A glass of wine, boys, here's to the Grecian islands. Let's sail the brine, boys, sail to the Grecian islands. One foot on Delphi, and like the legends tell me, her siren song, boys, keeps you beneath her spell. While mandolins play a tune, and you sit and smile at the moon, you will fall in love very soon, on a Grecian island. A voice will sing Sagapo, Sagapo, it will mean it's you I adore, you will never sail anymore, from your Grecian island. A glass of wine, boys, here's to the Grecian islands. Let's sail the brine, boys, sail to the Grecian islands. One foot on Delphi, and like the legends tell me, your heart will sing Sagapo, Sagapo, to your Grecian island. Our voice will sing Sagapo, Sagapo, it will mean it's you I adore, you will never sail anymore, from your Grecian island, from your Grecian island, from your Grecian island, from your Grecian island.
Come here. Look over there.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on?
In Kalymnos, the pagan Greeks made offerings to Poseidon, the god of the sea, for his protection and goodwill. The Sponge fishing fleet still ask the need for divine assistance in their dangerous calling.
Υπερπλεούντον, νοσούντον, καμνόντον, εχμαλώτων και τους ομιλίας.
Kalymnos girls wear white scarves for love and living, black scarves for waiting. Kalymnos girls wave banners of hope that the fleet will return with every hold full and every man safe. Udo gets his new sea legs standing on 180,000 square feet of deck, unfenced, like a field suspended above the earth, beyond the endless blue sea, above the arc of the sky.
PA-106 pilots report immediately to Ready Room 5. Clear deck for flight operation.
Oh, sorry, friend. Doesn't matter. Can I help you?
The Shangri-La is an attack carrier of the 6th Fleet, the battle-ready fleet, which has a striking force greater than all the air forces of World War II. But she's a friendly ship, as prepared for an earthquake disaster as for a sailor's appendicitis. The Shangri-La is an island unto herself, an island that can place herself anywhere in the watery provinces that make up 3/4 of man's estate. She's nourished by auxiliary ships to feed her 2,500 officers and men, ships to keep her aircraft flying and her huge engines humming. The Shangri-La burns the same amount of electricity as a good-sized town.
Thank you.
The men of the Navy accept Udo as one of themselves, and his ear catches accents as varied as the parts of America from which his messmates come, the Corn Belt, the mountains, the Mississippi, and the desert.
Hello. Hello. Like it here, sailor? Please? Oh, yes. It is mighty interesting.
The A4D Skyhawk can carry spare fuel tanks and has a range of 1,000 miles.
And don't forget, pilot, it gets dangerous up there. You keep that nose above the water.
Let's do it.
Clear deck for flight operation. All aircraft ready for takeoff.
little Skyhawk coming in. F-8U Crusader. If the aircraft comes in too high, the hook won't grab the cable. When you lean on the breeze on a deck that slants and the carrier's underway, they can tell by your knees and the hitch of your pants that you hail from the USA. Never trust a reversible escalator. And never trust a tattooed barber.
Clear deck for flight operations.
Hey, but why did you do this?
Look over here, Admiral.
It's time for Udo to go back to the way of wind and sail. Clipper stands by in the strong wind to pick him up.
This is Captain Skoglund speaking. Dr. Brown, I want to thank you very much for what you have done for our boy.
Oh, that's okay. I think he's in good condition. We'll send him over right away.
Thanks again, sir, and goodbye. Out.
Take him over on the shore boat.
Mr. Johnson would like to say goodbye, sir.
Thank you.
All well now? I hope you enjoyed your stay with us, son.
Oh, yes, it was the most interesting time in my life, sir. Thank you.
Really?
Oh, yes.
You feel all right now, son?
Fine, yes.
We'll have a wonderful trip on that beautiful boat of yours and enjoy yourself thoroughly. And keep that hair growing fast.
I tried.
Good luck, son.
Bye. Goodbye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Flying clippers away, bound for Greece, Italy, the French Riviera, and Spain.
Every inch a sailor, 5 and 20 years a whaler. Jack was every inch a sailor. He was born upon the bright blue sea. Jack was every inch a sailor, 5 and 20 years a whaler. Jack was every inch a sailor. He was born upon the bright blue sea. Now 'twas 25 or 30 years since Jack first saw the light. He came into this world of woe one dark and stormy night. He was born on board his father's ship when she was laying to, about 25 or 30 miles southeast of Baccaloo. Jack was every inch a sailor, 5 and 20 years a whaler. Jack was every inch a sailor. He was born upon the bright blue sea. Jack was every inch a sailor, 5 and 20 years a whaler.
The island fortresses of Rhodes bask in the times of the Crusades. The sunny castles conjure up a nostalgia for the pageantry of knighthood, the wit of the minstrels, and the caperings of the itinerant entertainer. Even today, a bright lad with a jester's bent can take to the open road. It is the King's birthday, and Rhodes is at its best. The barefoot mime is spurred to the great big city by a Chaplin-esque gift of imitation. His ambition? To study the foibles of his human customers.
The old fellow is hitchhiking.
Well, friend, coming with us? You think we should take him along?
Sure, we take him on board. That gives a big hit.
He looks just like your brother.
This is much better than looking humans in the kneecap. The captain meets the chaplain of Rhodes.
Yes, we gave him right into town.
Oh,
Charlie the chimp and his monkey shines.
can learn a lot from him.
Hey, what can you show us, old friend?
Go on, boys. Or you better take him ashore. Get him! Charlie!
Now, Charlie, like a coffee. Hey, look here. Help yourself. Drink this now. Yeah, come on. Yeah, boys, you see that we got from the monkey. He likes coffee, just like us.
Charlie, do you like it here?
You want to stay with us?
What's it done?
Yeah. Charlie, come on, let's go. Follow me now.
Having found out how the other half lives, Charlie is ready to go back to the mime's way of life, satisfied at last that Darwin was right.
Hold it, you want to show us something.
That's a funny.
Okay, Charlie, that's enough. Now let's take off.
That's a nice fantasy.
Goodbye, old boy. It was nice to have you here.
So long, Charlie.
Goodbye, Charlie. Say goodbye to your friends. Good education, what, boys? Look at him. Come on, Charlie, let's go. We have no time. Let's go. Good education. How about uniform?
Charlie, they're saying goodbye.
Don't let him get away again. Oh, Charlie, say goodbye to your friends.
Hey, Charlie, are you hungry?
Okay, Charlie, that's enough. Come on to the boat. Let's go. Don't be funny, Charlie. Let's go, we have no time. Come on.
Charlie, take it easy. Oh, he's a funny boy. Take it easy, Charlie.
Okay, Nathan, go ahead. That's for you. Here, Lindström, Hansfield, Shorty, that's for you. Hey, it feels like birthday, huh?
Fine, thank you. Comes just in
Go
time.
back to work again.
Hey, get going.
Don't be silly, boy.
Sailors at sea long for letters from the homes from which they were so happy to go adventuring.
Hallo Jürgen, ich muss dir schnell was sagen.
Aber lass doch erst Mutter sprechen.
Dann komm ich nicht mehr dran.
Sei ruhig.
Jürgen, mein Junge, Vater hat dieses Ding da beim Quiz gewonnen und dir geschickt und so kannst du unsere
Prima
Stimmen
Idee,
hören.
was?
Ich bin so... Pass gut auf dich auf, mein Junge, damit du nicht krank wirst. Zieh dir was Warmes an. Auf so einem Segelschiff zieht es doch immer. Komm bald heim.
Kann ich jetzt? Hallo Jürgen, große Bruder. Wenn du nach Athen kommst, bring mir eine kleine Akropolis mit. Bitte. Die gibt's aus Gips.
The sea road to Athens leads the flying clipper toward Piraeus, the Athenian shipbuilding port. Newt thinks of Theseus sailing to rescue the youth of Athens by slaying the Minotaur, and of the terrifying voyage of the Argonauts to get the Golden Fleece. Athens won a fruitful peace by defeating the Persians. In the golden age that followed, the philosophers and dramatists of Athens gave the Western world its heritage of ideas. Democracy prospered, the arts flourished, and Pericles put the finishing touches to the temples of the Acropolis. The beautiful columns of the Parthenon fill an intangible need of the human art.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can buy everything in our beautiful country, real town.
Outside, tourists play finders keepers. For at the Acropolis, one finds whatever one seeks.
Hey, come here. Come here. Hello.
At the temple of Erechtheus, the goddess Athena won the city of Athens from Poseidon by making a sacred olive tree spring from the ground. Much of Greek culture rested on its women. These graceful creatures are caryatids.
I told you, Mabel, there isn't much left to see once you've seen the Acropole.
I know, you're right, but I want...
In Plutarch's Lives, we find two sayings of the oracle at Delphi. Know thyself and nothing too much, which Plutarch says accord and harmonize with each other. For in know thyself is included nothing too much, and so again, in the latter is comprised know thyself. The name of Meteora doesn't ring a bell for us. Its 4th century monasteries will. 4 of them are still inhabited. They nestle in the mountain tops, nearest to God and farthest from the devil. Meteora means those that hang in the air. Meantime, in the hills of ancient Thessaly, the stork carries on in his old-fashioned way. As the oracle says, all things necessary the gods permit, and the Greeks are very proud of the result. The Evzones are mountain men. The Evzone skirt is like the Highland kilt. But the Greek belt he wears stands for courage and love.
Good morning, Your Highness.
Good morning.
May I introduce our boys?
How do you do? Hello.
This is Sanders.
Crown Prince Constantine is a true Greek Olympian. He's a saltwater sailor and Olympic champion in the Dragonfly class.
Hello. Well then, I think we better start now.
The Crown Prince invites the boys to a race. A dragonfly against lightnings. Ulysses sailed to Naples, where the siren of Capri fell in love with him, and when he didn't respond to her love, she threw herself into the sea. The fishermen of Naples found her, and they named Naples after her, the city of Parthenope. When Neapolitans talk boats, they sing nave, barca, navicella. They have the finest fish fries, outside of Cape Cod, that is. Simple folk hang their washing in the sun, the jaunty flags of the heart of Naples. Ah, dolce far niente. Naples has shiny new apartments, too, where the rich can hang their nylons in the bathtub. The tourist rush began on Capri in the 2nd century BC. Nowadays, the Alescafo, the hydrofoil, will take you there in a few minutes. Capri is as resplendent in reality as it is in the lines of the poet Shelley. The sun is warm, the sky is clear, the waves are dancing fast and bright. The Romans called Caprea the island of goats, the pearl of the Bay of Naples. And Capri is one to all men, where the rich eat spaghetti in the sun, and the poor eat spaghetti in the sun, and sailors eat spaghetti in the sun. Everywhere the blue waters of the Mediterranean sparkle in the sun, beckoning young men to the Isle of Mermaids. Were you ever in Capri, Bonnie Laddie, Highland Laddie? Where the sky is in the sea, Bonnie Laddie, Highland Laddie. Hi-ho, away she goes, my Bonnie, Highland Laddie. Riviera spreads its welcome mat of golden beaches out for everyone. From lively Saint-Tropez to Cannes, from jazzy Juan-les-Pins to Nice, from calm Cap Ferrat to the Palace of Monaco. It is the season. Beware, people at play, for this is the land of drink what wine we have today, who cares about tomorrow? Where the newly arrived good time Charlie may be yesterday's hastily departed embezzler from London, New York, or Brasilia. The Côte d'Azur, where bald-headed kings and blue-eyed chorus girls fall in love at first sight, and at second glance find there was somebody else. To a native, the Miami of Europe, crass and brassy, live today and pay tomorrow and start again at dawn before the tab comes. The tranquil, idyllic south of France, where Irish redheads bathe to be seen, and Siamese princes bask incognito.
Wherever you may go, you go with my devotion. My heart will follow you beyond the deepest ocean.
Sur la plage, where French, Algerian, Chinese, Tonkinese, Tahitian, Australian, German, and Cockney imitation bardos meet and mingle sur la plage on the beach. Toujours gay, kid, toujours gay.
Tonight and whisper.
Beware, people at play. And Jack is every inch a sailor, enjoying shore leave.
To Rome or San Francisco, Hawaii or Paris, the Danube or the Rhine. Oh, please remember me when you're across the sea, and let me know wherever you may go. You're mine. Oh, please remember me when you're across the sea, and let me know wherever you may go. You are
Monaco is like the American hobo dream of the Big Rock Candy Mountain, where princes peddle bicycles and sardine kings sail by in floating palaces. And the Monegasque live, tax-free.
Hurry up! Take your seats! Oh, I think first row is sold out. Here.
The boys meet Graham Hill in his Ferrari. and Phil Hill, the reigning champion.
Hello, Mr. Hill.
Hello, Mr. Hello, boys.
A man must have nerve and skill to tackle the hairpin bends and winding curves of the Grand Prix de Monaco. It's the man who wins this battle, not the engine alone. Drivers have to make 100 circuits around the course, which is the most dangerous 2 miles in the racing world. The captain admires a beautiful lady as Prince Rainier and Princess Grace begin the ceremonial drive to the starting stand. The man with the starting flag is the chief of the course, Louis Chiron. He won the race in the 20s. You can feel the tension in the air as the cars rev up to the starting line. That's Jack Bartram in car 14. Watch the flag. They're off. The greatest gamble in Monte Carlo today isn't at the casino, it's at the Grand Prix. The cars from all countries are mainly Lotus, Ferrari, or Coopers. What these men find today in taking chances of speed and personal safety, we gain tomorrow. It's a tremendous feeling in the cockpit of one of these cars. That's Phil Hill. the man who hit the bank at Monte Carlo, last year's champ, and this year's ex-champ, by the looks of things. They hit the straightway, the checkered flag for Bruce McLaren. And the princess hails a new champion. Up by the baggy wrinkles, the boys observe a few new wrinkles. First, they join Prince Rainier, Princess Grace, and the excited Monegasques and hail the new king, Bruce McLaren. Naturally, sailors go for soft shoulders and dangerous curves. In my Grand Prix Go Mobile, I've a heart-shaped steering wheel. Chasing you is lots of fun, though there's only room for one. Stormy A good old skipper to his crew.
To my way's storm alone.
An able sailor, brave and true.
To my way amidst the storm alone.
He's moored at last and furled his sail.
To my way's storm alone.
All free from wrecks and far from gale.
To my way amidst the storm alone.
In Barcelona, the duty watch would dearly like to swim ashore. It's a great liberty town. Vamos, amigos. Adelante, adelante. Welcome to Barcelona. The captain stays with his ship, the Santa Maria, which he will give his small son, one of whose heroes is Christopher Columbus. Nothing could drag him away from finishing the model, not all the king's horses or all the king's men. When the American Indians first saw the Spanish conquistadores riding their magnificent Arab horses, they believed man and horse to be a mythical creature, like a centaur. In Spain, man and horse are one. The Guardia de Barcelona are amongst Spain's finest. The Arabs they ride are the direct descendants of the hot-blooded stallions of the Moors. It's easy to understand the Arab's belief that Allah fashioned the Arab horse from the magic of the winds. Granada is filled with living memories of the Moors. In the beautiful Alhambra, home of the Moorish kings, which was taken back by Ferdinand and Isabella in the year in which the Moors were driven out, the year that Christopher Columbus opened the way to the New World. The Moors also gave Spain the musical scale of the Moorish lute, the cool crystal fountains, the shady gardens. And the anguished cry of the saeta, which rings through Seville in Holy Week, the Moorish lament. Santa Semana, Holy Week in Seville, most truly reflects the passionate character of the Spanish people. Day and night, the brotherhoods of the penitentes, or cofrados, carry their heavy pasos, one of Christ, one of the Virgin, from Palm Sunday until the joyous pealing of the bells on Easter Sunday. Many Sevillanos belong to one of these brotherhoods of penitentes, which they enter as children, like the children who walk these narrow streets, scented with the aroma of burning beeswax candles. The sunshine of Seville is in the warm hearts of the people, which is why Seville women give their jewels to La Macarena, of whom the great poet Lope de Vega said, "At dawn the Virgin is born, and with her the sun. But who bears the sun cannot fear the night." The men wear hoods in mourning for Holy Week. Through the narrow streets where Cervantes in jail penned his immortal Don Quixote. Yet on Easter Sunday, the same sad faces will rejoice. Seville is the city of Figaro, of Don Juan, of Carmen. Sevillanos take everything in life with great passion, which is why Seville is the spiritual heart of Andalusia. Tonight, the chanted lament. Tomorrow, the trumpet and the flamenco. That's the spirit of Seville. La Feria, the spring fair. Every Spaniard is a caballero, if he has the right hat to wear. A flat-brim Sevillano, muy caballo, muy mujer. A fine horse, a pretty girl. That makes the spring fair. Everyone is young at the spring fair. The perfume of orange blossoms fills the air. Green is the spirit of Seville at the Feria. Spring brings out the greenest of the greenhorns and the fairest of the fair. The tiniest Nina is an Andalusian gypsy to the littlest caballero, if she has the right flower in her hair. Verde, yo te quiero verde. I want you young as springtime at the spring fair. Yes, every day is a feast of life, and today marks the opening of the bullfight season. Enter the toreros, the picadores, and the matadores. The stage is the Plaza de Toros de Sevilla, the golden sands of the Guadalquivir. Elegant grace and spirit of the Seville bull ring is in the zestful heel tap of the Seville dance. Are they two things or the one thing? In the little narrow streets away from the bright lights of the Feria, sailors are making their farewells to Seville. 100 days and nights in the Mediterranean will shine as brightly and as unforgettably as the lights of the Feria in the minds of these young men. one by one they make their way back to the ship, taking home silver combs and lace mantillas to go with the gold bangles and shells that sing of the sea. The men who stand by to sail home on the dawn tide are men whose eyes will always say they gave their hearts to the pagan Mediterranean.
Rolling home, rolling home, rolling home across the sea, rolling home to our dear homeland, rolling home, dear land, to thee. Full 10,000 miles behind us, and 1,000 miles before, ancient ocean waves to waft us to the well-remembered shore. Newborn breezes swell to send us to our childhood's welcome skies, to the glow of friendly faces and the glance of loving eyes. Rolling home